My sister just graduated law school, and when she thanked everyone who made it possible, she mentioned our parents, her professors, even her study group, but somehow forgot the person who actually paid for it all. My sister Sarah announced she wanted to be a lawyer when she was 8 years old. Most kids that age dream about being astronauts or princesses. Not Sarah. She'd line up her stuffed animals and conduct mock trials in our living room, complete with a wooden spoon as her gavel. The teddy bear always lost. Fast forward 15 years, and that childhood dream was about to become an expensive reality. Law school isn't like other graduate programs where you might snag a teaching assistant job to cover costs. It's brutal on your wallet, and the numbers will make your head spin. Here's what we discovered during her research phase. The average law school education costs between $150,000 and $320,000 when you factor in everything. Everything meaning tuition, books, living expenses, and those random fees schools love to slip in. Private law schools, they're the worst offenders, charging over $80,000 annually just for tuition. That's before you buy a single textbook or eat a single meal. Sarah applied to 12 schools across 3 states. Some were public universities that seemed more reasonable on paper. But here's the catch. Nobody talks about out-of-state tuition at public schools often cost nearly as much as private institutions. The affordable state school option only works if you stay local, which limits your choices significantly. Then there's the scholarship myth everyone believes. Sure, scholarships exist for law students, but they're nothing like undergraduate programs. Most law school scholarships cover partial tuition at best. Full rides are rarer than finding a parking spot during finals week. The competition is fierce because everyone's chasing the same limited funding. We spent months calculating different scenarios. Sarah could attend the prestigious East Coast school that accepted her, but we'd need $85,000 per year. The in-state option was $35,000 annually, still substantial but more manageable. The problem was location and career prospects varied dramatically between choices. What really shocked us was learning about living expenses. Law students can't work full-time jobs like other graduate students. The coursework demands too much time and energy. Most programs actually discourage outside employment during the first year. This means students need support for basic necessities like rent, food, and transportation, which can easily reach $25,000 yearly in most cities. My parents had saved some money for Sarah's education, but nowhere near enough for law school. They'd prepared for undergraduate costs, not professional school prices. The gap between their savings and actual expenses was massive, creating a family financial crisis we hadn't anticipated. Credit became the obvious solution, but student loan debt for law graduates averages between $100,000 and $200,000. Starting salaries don't always justify that burden, especially for graduates who choose public service careers over corporate law positions. The math simply didn't work in Sarah's favor. That's when I made a decision that would change both our lives forever. Someone needed to step up, and traditional funding wasn't going to cut it. The question wasn't whether Sarah deserved this opportunity, but how our family would make it happen without destroying everyone's financial future in the process. When my sister got accepted into law school, I knew the real battle was just beginning. The acceptance letter might as well have been a bill for $200,000. Most families panic at this moment. Well, I just rolled up my sleeves. I started working double shifts at the restaurant where I waited tables. Weekends? Forget about relaxation. I picked up a second job doing data entry from home. My social life became extinct faster than you could say bar exam. Every dollar went into what I called the lawyer fund. Sounds dramatic, right? But law school doesn't care about your feelings or your bank account. Here's what nobody warns you about. Tuition is just the appetizer. Living expenses for law students hit around $25,000 yearly just for basics. That's rent, food, utilities, and maybe some instant coffee to survive those all-night study sessions. Books cost another $2,000 per year. Then there's health insurance, because stress-induced illnesses are practically guaranteed in law school. My own graduate program got pushed to the back burner. The opportunity cost was brutal. While my friends advanced their careers, I was calculating whether my sister could afford both textbooks and groceries that month. Economists have a fancy term for this opportunity cost. I had a simpler term for it: life on hold. Most law students graduate drowning in debt. We're talking $200,000 or more. The average monthly payment after graduation, around $2,000. That's like having a second mortgage, except instead of a house, you get a degree and hopefully a job that pays enough to cover it. But here's the thing about family dynamics. Everyone assumes parents foot the bill. Wrong. I was the one checking bank balances at midnight, making sure her rent payment would clear. I handled everything from tuition payments to making sure she had decent winter boots. Law school is in session during those brutal winter months, and frostbite doesn't help anyone pass constitutional law. The financial pressure was relentless. Some months I lived on ramen noodles so she could eat actual meals. My dating life suffered because dinner and a movie felt like a luxury I couldn't justify. Friends stopped inviting me out because I always declined. Maybe next time became my catchphrase. Then there's the insurance situation. Student health plans are notoriously terrible. I upgraded her to better coverage because law school stress leads to actual health problems. Migraines, anxiety, sleep issues. The premium cost an extra $200 monthly, but emergency room visits cost way more. My parents helped emotionally, which mattered. They provided encouragement during her breakdown moments and celebrated her small victories. But the cold, hard cash, that responsibility landed squarely on my shoulders. Working 2 jobs while managing someone else's entire financial life teaches you things they don't cover in business school, like how to survive on 4 hours of sleep and still smile at demanding customers. What I didn't expect was how this sacrifice would shape what happened on graduation day. Because sometimes, the people who matter most become invisible in plain sight. My parents weren't sitting around doing nothing while I worked 2 jobs. They showed up in different ways. Mom called my sister every week to check on her stress levels. Dad sent care packages with her favorite snacks and encouraging notes. But when it came to writing checks, that was my department. Here's something most people don't realize. Only 2% of law students have all their costs covered by family without taking loans. The rest either borrow money or work part-time jobs that eat into study time. My sister was incredibly lucky, and she knew it. Well, sort of. The thing about family financial help is that it's often invisible to outsiders. Friends assumed my parents were loaded and paying for everything. Makes sense, right? Parents usually handle the big expenses, but our family operated differently. My parents had already put 3 kids through college and were thinking about retirement. I was the one with steady income and no major responsibilities. Then there's the weird psychology of sibling support. Studies show that siblings frequently help each other with education costs, but nobody talks about it openly. It's like this secret network of family financial assistance that happens behind closed doors. Brothers paying for sisters' medical school, sisters covering brothers' graduate programs. The help flows quietly between siblings while parents get the credit. I made a conscious choice to keep my financial contribution private, not because I was embarrassed, but because I wanted to avoid the family drama that comes with money discussions. You know how it goes. Someone always has an opinion about who should pay what. Someone thinks you're showing off or playing favorites. Easier to just handle it quietly and let people assume whatever they wanted. But keeping it private created its own problems. My sister knew I was paying, obviously. She saw the tuition payments coming from my accounts, yet somehow the weight of that support didn't fully register with her. Maybe because I made it look easy, or maybe because she was so focused on surviving law school that she couldn't process the bigger picture. Family roles get complicated when money enters the equation. My parents were proud of both of us, proud of her for pursuing her dreams, and proud of me for making it possible. But from the outside looking in, I was just the supportive older sibling cheering from the sidelines, while my parents got credit for raising such a successful daughter. The irony hits hard when you think about it. I was making the biggest sacrifice, but my contribution was practically invisible to everyone except my bank account. My parents' emotional support was valuable and necessary. Don't get me wrong, but emotional support doesn't cover $80,000 annual tuition bills. Looking back, I should have been more open about my role from the beginning, not to get recognition, but to set clearer expectations about acknowledgement and appreciation. Because what happened on graduation day caught me completely off guard, even though maybe it shouldn't have. The signs were already there, that my contribution had somehow become background noise in the family success story. Graduation day felt like Christmas morning, except I was the one who bought all the presents, and somehow didn't get any credit for it. My sister walked across that stage in her cap and gown, diploma in hand, ready to conquer the legal world. The moment should have been perfect. Then came the speech. She grabbed the microphone during the family celebration dinner. Her voice cracked with emotion as she thanked everyone who made her dream possible. "I couldn't have done this without my amazing parents," she said, looking directly at them. Their unwavering support and sacrifice made all of this happen. The room erupted in applause. My parents beamed with pride, and there I sat, clapping along like some random cousin who just showed up for free food. Wait, what? The weird part is that 83% of law school graduates mention family members during their graduation speeches. Most thank parents, obviously. But here's the thing. Many of those parents didn't actually pay the bills. Yet somehow, they still get the spotlight while the real financial heroes sit in the audience, invisible. My friends noticed the awkwardness immediately. Sarah, who knew about my 2 jobs and sleepless nights, gave me a confused look. "Didn't your parents just pay for everything?" she whispered. I nodded, because explaining the truth would have made things worse. But why didn't I speak up right then? Pride works in mysterious ways. Sometimes it keeps you quiet when you should be loud. I didn't want to embarrass my sister or create family drama on her big day. Plus, confronting someone about gratitude feels weird, like demanding someone say thank you for a gift. It loses its meaning when you have to ask for it. The celebration continued around me. People congratulated my parents on their investment in their daughter's future. My dad joked about being broke from law school tuition. Everyone laughed, including me, though mine sounded hollow. Research shows that only 2% of law students have their full education funded by family members without loans. Makes sense, right? Yet somehow, everyone assumes parents foot the bill. It's like this unspoken rule that educational success always traces back to mom and dad's checkbook. My sister hugged our parents again for the cameras. She posed with her diploma, tears of joy streaming down her face. The photographer captured every moment of her triumph. Meanwhile, I calculated in my head $127,000 total. That's what her success cost me over 3 years. Well, the financial cost anyway. The emotional cost felt different. Heavier, somehow. Like carrying a secret that nobody wanted to hear. Friends kept asking when I'd finally go back to school or start my own business. Soon, I'd say, knowing my savings account told a different story. That night, as we cleaned up after the party, something interesting happened. My sister pulled me aside, and her expression had changed completely. The celebration glow was fading, and reality was starting to sink in about what really happened behind the scenes. 3 weeks after graduation, I found a handwritten letter slipped under my apartment door. My sister's messy handwriting covered 2 full pages. She started with "I messed up badly" and went from there. The letter hit different than I expected. She explained how the graduation speech happened so fast, how her nerves took over, and how she defaulted to thanking the people everyone expects you to thank: parents, professors, friends. But here's the thing. She knew exactly what I had done for her. Every late rent payment I covered, every grocery run, every textbook I bought without asking for money back. I panicked and said what felt safe. She wrote, but safe wasn't honest. Well, at least she figured it out. According to research, about 65% of people who pay for someone else's education feel underappreciated afterward. I definitely landed in that majority, but the weird part is how her apology changed everything between us. We started talking about money in ways our family never did before. Real conversations. She showed me her first job offer, $85,000 starting salary at a mid-size firm. Not bad, right? Then there's her student loan payment plan she never had to use. $0 monthly because someone else handled the bill. Let's not forget the ripple effects this whole experience created. My own plans got pushed back 3 years. The master's degree I wanted, still on hold. The house down payment I was saving for, gone. But something unexpected happened during those sacrifice years. I learned what I actually valued. My priorities shifted completely. Before law school consumed our family's attention, I said yes to everything. Every request, every emergency, every "can you help me out" conversation. Now I ask questions first. What's this money really for? Who else is contributing? How does this affect my future? She's been paying me back in small chunks since starting her job. Makes sense, right? Though I told her the money wasn't the main issue anymore, the recognition mattered more than repayment. Being seen for what I actually did instead of getting lumped in with family support like some vague background character. Our relationship feels more balanced now. She asks before assuming I'll cover things. I speak up when requests feel unreasonable. Both of us communicate instead of just expecting the other person to read our minds. But why does it take a crisis for families to learn how to talk about money? We spent years dancing around who pays for what, who sacrifices what, and who gets credit for what. The graduation speech incident forced conversations that should have happened much earlier. Then there's the bigger lesson hiding in all this mess. Supporting someone's dreams costs more than dollars. It requires emotional energy, time, and sometimes putting your own goals on pause. The people writing those tuition checks deserve acknowledgement, whether they're parents, siblings, or that weird uncle who somehow has money saved up. Education changes lives, but it also changes the people who make that education possible. Both sides of that equation matter more than we usually admit.